Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Sit Down with Sid podcast. This is episode number 39. Our guest today, having worked 14 years in management for Fortune 500 companies, he has been serving as an arts administrator to nonprofits since 2003 when he co produced the Fall Collection, a mixed media festival in the Lower East Side of New York City. Drawing from the love of dance and cultural experiences from living 9 years abroad, he founded Dance Parade in 2006 in New York. He has been honored as a presenter at the New York Dance and Performance Awards, served as associate director for the Fall Festival, a multimedia arts festival, general manager of Nimbus, Danceworks, Jersey City's preeminent dance company, and currently consults for nonprofits, serving on the advisory board for Neville Dance Theatre, a contemporary ballet company. Without further ado, it's an honor for me to welcome Greg Miller. How you doing, Greg?
I'm great, Sid. Thanks for having me on.
Awesome, awesome. Thanks so much for your time. So, Greg, before we kind of get into the podcast, would you mind taking some time to tell our audience a little bit about yourself, your background, and so forth?
Sure. I grew up in Pennsylvania, outside of Philadelphia. Went to school at the University of Michigan. I think that was my first experience to really have international exposure. There were a lot of international students. And then I started going abroad. It was actually cheaper to go to Germany to study German in
Hmm.
Germany than it was to go to the University of Michigan and get the credits from over there. So I kind of was exposed to foreign travel and foreign people in Europe then when
Hmm.
I was at university and was really inspired. I changed my major over to international business. And then I went to a university organization called ISEC, which
Hmm.
was it basically placed you uh, abroad and matched your skills with whatever the companies were looking for. So I worked. My first job abroad was with
Hmm.
Bosch in Germany, and then I went to England and worked for Shearson Lehman, and then just wanted to see what was on the other side of the globe. So was 7 years in Asia, mostly in Japan, and then I came back to the States in '96 and started working for a Japanese airline, and then I worked for Rev. Actually, it was Cablevision
Hmm.
for a few years, and then Revlon, the beauty company. Um, and all along, I guess I was picking up some nonprofit or arts related interests and started volunteering for them. And then I basically started Dance Parade in 2007. Um, Along that time, I worked for a nonprofit at Columbia University for medical information
Hmm.
to kind of make a Wikipedia for medicine.
Okay.
That was an interesting job. But then I just basically, Dance Parade, which is my love right now, labor of love, became a full time situation. And we've been doing that for 16 years.
Unbelievable. So, Greg, I have a question now. Like working in so many different countries, such big corporations, having gaining so much of experience, what inspired you to find Dance Parade and start your own venture in 2007?
So it came about in an interesting way. A lot of people ask me this, and when I think back, the primary thing that happened for me, I essentially I left Revlon along with 6,000 other people in a company layoff
Oh,
situation.
wow. Okay.
They had a brand called Vital Radiance. It was a cosmetic line for senior citizens. So they anticipated selling into 17,000 doors, basically, all the drugstores in the country, 4 feet of wall space. This beauty line for senior citizens, and it was this major $200 million venture that they tried and it didn't work out. And so I was in charge of the finance for them, and they kind of just dropped it off their balance sheet. And I was in a situation where I had a chance, I had a nice severance package,
Mm-hmm.
and I could really look at what I really wanted to do. Did I really want to, work for a big company and make a small impact, or did I want to try to make a difference? And so I started um, going to some meetings about uh, dance advocacy and
Mm-hmm.
why there was this crazy New York City law that where you needed a license for dancing. It was a prohibition era law that affected dancing all around. I don't know, Sid, if you knew the Lower East Side, you probably, in the 90s, you probably saw signs that said no dancing. And that raised a lot of questions for me and these friends. And we started doing dance protests. And there were four groups of dancers in 2006 that challenged New York City in the state Supreme Court. And
Mm-hmm.
one of them was Peter Martins, who was the director of the New York City Ballet, very famous. Um, but basically, they lost the case. They weren't able to say to New York City that dancing was a First Amendment right. So it was basically focused on social dancing. You could, of
Okay.
course, have a First Amendment freedom to have dance on stage and charge money for that. That was,
Right.
fine. But for nightclub dancing and even dances, that were social. So, for example, tango and ballroom,
Right.
that was actually, kind of restricted. And they shut down clubs like Swing 46, that had swing dancing, and it was because their patrons were dancing. So it
Oh
became
wow.
it became a protest. We had dance police who were dressed up in NYDP, kind of like the same logo as NYPD, but
Right. Right. Right.
New York City Dance Police,
Right.
hats and shirts, and we ticketed people for not dancing. So it was kind of a parody on the real dance police. And um,
Wow.
so they would get a ticket that said, "You've been cited for improper rhythm, or no moving in a free dance zone." And and on the back was they had to go to court, which was the ticket was the free after party ticket, or the free dance lesson or something like that.
That's unbelievable. Wow.
Yeah.
So let me
So
ask you now.
yeah.
I mean, I did not know even that in 1990s I wasn't here, so I did not know this story that social dancing was not allowed in New York City. So something new I learned. So let me ask you now. What is the mission of Dance Parade? What is your mission?
Well, because of this kind of interesting, beginning,
Mm-hmm.
we wanted to show as many social forms of dance, as many expressive forms as dance as possible. So our mission became um, we want to promote all forms of dance
Okay.
and celebrate diversity. So we now have over 100 unique styles of dance in the parade. So that is a key element to celebrate diversity, to celebrate cultural equity, which means it doesn't matter if there's a dance in a nightclub or a dance uh, on stage, contemporary ballet, for example. They're all considered, valuable and important. So this year we had the Ukrainian group dance, and right behind was a Russian group. And there,
Okay.
even though this incredible divisive war that's going on right now in Europe, we could show the people and the culture, and that was so important to us to show that they're equal, even despite there's an aggressor and a defender, and
Right.
it's not about politics, but we just wanted to honor their culture. So um, cultural equity, diversity, and inclusion. Inclusion is the third thing that we celebrate with our mission, and that
Mm-hmm.
means that it's a participatory parade, that everyone is invited, no matter who they are, as long as they dance.
Okay. So, so let me ask you if I understand this correctly. So now, when you have this different kind of dancing events, different kind of ethnic dances coming from different parts of the world. Now, how long does the whole prep take? So for example, from start to finish, as you said, people can also, what's the right word, they can participate. So give us a time frame, an average time frame, how long it takes from when you decide to to plan the date for the parade to the end of the day of the parade.
Sure. Well, the planning in terms of pre-event, like getting it all organized, or
Mm-hmm.
or for more the participants, because it's two different things. To plan the event, it actually takes a good 8 months before even to fund it. We have to start a year out to get our grants submitted and to reach out to corporate sponsors and things. We have a Giving Tuesday event that happens just after Thanksgiving. So there's
Mm-hmm.
not many people may know that, but there's Black Friday, which is a big shopping spree
Right.
on Friday after Thanksgiving, and then Small Business Saturday, and then Cyber Monday, and we kind of got swept up in the global giving movement, which is called Giving Tuesday. So that's a big part of our preparation. We raise critical funds for our
Mm-hmm.
nonprofit charity. And then for the participants, we start recruiting just 5 months out, 4 months out, and have a budget to actually pay artist fees for
Mm-hmm.
participation and participation on stage, because it's not just a parade; it follows with a festival afterwards, and so getting everything organized takes months. For the participant, they actually can join just a day before they hear about the parade on a TV commercial or radio
Mm-hmm.
ad or something, and they're a salsa dancer, so they join a salsa group and dance to a live salsa band or something like that, and then they have to show up an hour before their call time
Mm-hmm.
and their step off time. And then it takes about an hour and a half to 2 hours to go through and dance through the parade, sometimes longer if you're in the back. But then there's a whole 4 hour festival at the end where there's a five-stage situation and also a participatory um, social dance area and dance lessons, and it's to inspire everyone and to get everyone really moving in this healthy activity, cultural important activity.
So let me ask you, Greg. Now, is it very easy or is it really complicated to get the permit from the city? Who handles the security and all that so forth? Like on an average, tell us how many people attend this parade, and then based on the parameters of that, if you can tell us a little bit about, as I said, the security, the permit, the safety, and so forth.
That there are a number of things that go into the planning a safe and city regulated and city approved events.
Mm-hmm.
So the permits, we already right now our next event won't be until May 2023. Like our next big event, we do
Okay.
events throughout the year, but there's a number of permits. It's not just one. There's the sound permits, the parade permit, you need to coordinate with the fire department to make sure everything is within safety guidelines.
Right.
Uh, there's just a lot of health considerations and safety situations, and it's just we've done it so many times that we have a timeline and a kind of
Okay.
project management system to tick everything off. Um, but all of that goes into being a safe parade. You mentioned security. We hire a
That's
private
correct.
security company and place them. We
So the
have
New York City cops are not responsible. The city is not responsible for the safety of the public, or is it just a private
no,
agency?
we partner with a number of city agencies, the Department
Okay.
of Transportation, of course, NYPD,
Mm-hmm.
um, MTA. You know, they have to change the bus routes and this and
Right. Right.
uh, the Parks Department and you know, there's a lot of coordination that happens. We essentially have one big meeting with the city.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this year it was in April, so
Okay.
about 6 weeks before we met up with them and kind of go over the entire planning that we've done. And it really only happens in partnership. You know, we had, for example, two big planters that were in the parade route way, and we had to figure out how can we move them safely,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and had a number of things with the Department of Transportation to make that because they needed them for security reasons in Union
Right.
Square. And so, yeah, there's always little details, but you just try to focus on, you know, what's important and what is a critical piece that can't be forgotten. Um, the police they're there for sure to
Mm-hmm.
provide security. Um, they're they would prefer to kind of be in the background and not in,
Okay.
you know, we have constant communication with them if there's an issue. um, as an example, we thought the mayor was going to come and
Mm-hmm.
he had another conflicting event, but uh, we were expecting a lot of people at the formation area at the start, and someone had their car towed, a local resident, and
Mm-hmm.
they said they were very angry. Well, why did you, you know, that there was sign, I didn't see any sign where I parked my car. And what had happened was the night before there was heavy rain and the sign that said no parking got washed away.
Oh gosh.
So, but the police, they very kindly moved the car just to a local area nearby where the resident could get it without any fine or whatever.
Okay.
It was just you know, because you get in that situation where it's no one's fault. The rain, you can't blame the
Right.
rain.
Right.
That's what happened. The sign got washed away, and the guy was very happy once he figured that out. So we had a kind of communication hierarchy about, you know, who to call, and I talked to the local precinct and then found out that information, and then it was like, phew, okay, probably one fire was put out. There's often things that pop up where you have to solve, and the best team is when you have, you know, people coming back and they really understand all the issues. They know how to deal with things on the fly.
Great. So,
So
Greg,
yeah,
for the audience in New York City, you just had a parade. Correct me if I'm wrong. May 21st, last month. Correct.
that's right.
Uh, do you take the same route? Is the route of the parade same every year, or do you change that? And if it's the same, what is the route, the starting point to the end point? If you don't mind sharing.
Um, it's a very important question for this time around because we're actually changing the route for next year. So
Okay.
for the first year, we actually went down Fifth Avenue from 14th down to the end, uh, where Fifth Avenue runs into Washington Square Park, and
Okay.
Washington Square Park was where the festival was in the first year. But then they had to do construction, and they were moving the fountain to be aligned and taking care of plumbing issues and things. But basically, they had to we couldn't do a festival there, so we had to rethink everything. We worked with the highway patrol, the traffic, and all of these police units to come up with the last 15 years was down Broadway from 21st Street
Mm-hmm.
through Union Square West and kind of turning east on 8th Street St. Mark's with a
Okay.
grandstand in Astor. So it basically DOT has been changing the
Hmm.
landscape of what Broadway looks like, making it more pedestrian. So
Right.
that's creating more and more challenges for us to have all these. We have 60 vehicles with 20 parade floats, and where do you park them when you have all these
Right.
things? Plus, the pandemic caused all these restaurants to pop up in the streets, so that was
Yeah,
a
that is
challenge.
true.
Yeah. Now we're going to move over to Fifth Avenue, where it's a much wider avenue. And so it is possible, anyone can apply for a parade permit. But of course, you can't have a parade every day. The city wouldn't be able to have business. So I'm sure they approve the ones where you have a real rich cultural reason. We had kind of
Hmm.
a social justice reason. You know, we represented dancers who wanted the right to dance.
Right.
And so, we now get funded by the National Endowment for the Arts, the Department of New York City for Cultural Affairs, and the
Hmm.
New York State Council on the Arts. So all these kind of governments now support us, and it's not a protest; it's a celebration. So um, all of this is an interesting thing about when we're talking about business and how things start, and it's a changing business plan dependent on sometimes what's possible with the streets, with
Hmm.
the participants, with you know the different entities within our partners and some of our funders. So it's just we just try to improve things as we go each year, and it's become a really celebrated, passionate event.
Great. Uh, so I know we are short on time. Just a few other questions before we wrap this up. Couple of things. Do you have any short-term or long-term sustainable goals with Dance Parade in the near future?
We would love to see Dance Parade, go to other cities. Every city has, uh, you know, dancers, young kids who practice ballet or hip hop and jazz, but they also have an immigrant population. We have dances from India and China and Bolivia and other countries. So we would love to see Dance Parade Los Angeles, Dance Parade Houston, Dance
Hmm.
Parade Mumbai.
I
Why
know.
not? So spreading, but realistically, it takes quite a lot to do what we're doing. So,
Right.
maybe one city in the next 3 years. Um, our short-term kind of realizable goal is to have Dance Parade presented on television.
Hmm.
We have a media partner, New York One, and their sister channel Noticias in Spanish, and that's a 24/7 uh, news centered media company. But they're really great about promoting community and having feel good stories. They're not all so sensationalized with a lot of the media where everything is about mass shootings or war or these kind of
Right.
dark stories. They love to cover us in schools. We have a community engagement program where we get dance into schools and community centers, and then they end their programs with being in the parade. So the news covers that. The New York One channel covers that. So we want to work with them to see if they could do coverage the same way they do the Halloween parade, which is on TV as well. So we want to do that within 2 years. That's our goal.
Perfect. So let me ask you now, starting from 2007, now in 2022, how has been the audience perception or audience feedback on your uh, on this Dance Parade concept?
So audience, I guess in terms of watching the parade, it's
Just in general, the people of New York City who live there, people who participate, people who hear about it, being the founder, like like how do you feel this dream of yours has come to reality, in your own eyes?
yeah. Well, it's not actually just a dream of mine. I work with 150 people to help make this happen, and it's a
Right.
team effort. But I have founded and do lead the organization. And then we do have people residents who don't like all of the noise coming from 60 sound systems from floats and cultural groups. And so we always have people that might not like that day of dance because of the noise, and there are routinely a few people that complain, but then we also listen to them, and we have a sound patrol, for example. And so we always have to take in information, analyze, and try to do better. And so that we have decibel readers. They go around trying to see what is out of bounds, and we tell them, oh, you have to turn your sound down. If they don't, we give them a written thing, and then they can actually potentially get removed by the police if they're too loud. So we try to work with people and always improve. But we're excited that we're doing something important for the city. That public art is very popular,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to share what does Palestinian dance look like, what does Indian dance look like, what does people have conceptions, but until you actually see it, it's really rich and
Mm-hmm.
rewarding. So we hope to kind of continue to grow. And for all your listeners, we'd love to have people volunteer at danceparade.org, or connect with us on social media. Dance Parade NYC is our hashtag, or our handle, I guess you'd say, on all these different social media channels.
Yeah, that's great. So actually, we are going to put the information about your website, YouTube channel, all other social media platforms. So if people want to reach out to you guys, they can do so. Last question, to end this podcast. If there was any message you would like to give to our audience, what would that be?
I would love to ask people why they are so shy about dancing. Because I often see, the New York Times or somebody writes a story on oh, you won't see me out there, but I'll watch. The only way you'll catch me dancing is if I have a few drinks at a wedding. Uh, Dancing should be for everyone, and different cultures are comfortable with that. I find that I was amazed when I went to Europe the first time, and would go to a dance place and see a person dancing by themselves, and I thought, wow, how strong are they to be able to do that? But it really is also how timid and uncomfortable we are as an American culture to not be able to do that. You have to be drinking or something, and it's not true. Movement is a healthy thing. Everyone goes to the gym, or a lot of people go to the gym, and why not go, move with music and feel good and have all these incredible benefits, from mental clarity to being a part of a culture you're proud of. I just, my message to everyone is just try it. Just go to a dance class, or go to a dance party, or come to Dance Parade and just enjoy, because it's a
Perfect.
great thing that we can all do together as as a world, really.
Love that message, Greg. Greg, I wanna thank you very much once again for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be with us here on the podcast. And we look forward to hearing more about your next parade, which you said is in May of 2023. And we would like to bring you in probably a few months before that, so you can actually kind of chime into that and give our audience more, information on that and what's new and not.
Thank you, Sid. It's been such a pleasure to speak with you, and yeah, I would love to come back whenever you'll have me.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Greg. I want to wish you a great day, and I want to wish you all the very best and success in your future endeavors from our
Thank you,
side.
sir. Same to you.
Thank you. Bye bye. Take care.